Pato Award. Man, nice talking to you again, my man. Last time I saw you up close and personal, you were winning, I think, at Mid Ohio. Do I have that correct?
Oh yeah, Mid Ohio, man. Well, I know that's what we're gonna talk about, but I really do enjoy that track. It's one of the best tracks that we get to go to around the calendar. It's a very nice calm weekend outside of the track, which I always really enjoy and look forward to during the year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh, yeah, and it also appreciates the use of fast hands. Uh,
Yeah.
you don't remember this, but I asked you that question at the Detroit Grand Prix. I think it was a doubleheader weekend, and you made this great save on a restart, and everybody was wondering why are you so good on restarts. You remember that? Remember that about 3 or 4 years ago?
Oh
And you
yeah,
went
2021. That was a great
Yeah,
race.
you went on to victory, and I said, "Man, what'd you do there? What was the difference?" He goes, "Fast hands," And meanwhile, everybody else, wants to in IndyCar, in any kind of auto racing, they're always figuring somebody's got an advantage they don't have. It can't be just pure skill, right? But does Mid Ohio does it really I don't know accentuate that aspect of your driving that ability, car control, etc.
I mean, it's a very high commitment track. I think I wouldn't say it's just like Barber Motorsports Park, but it's definitely one of the tracks where you really need to trust the car. You need to have the car in a nice window where you could really attack. That track does not reward a car that is way too unforgiving, I would say. Like, you
Yeah.
definitely need some forgiveness here and there. But it's always been such an enjoyable flow, especially now with the repave. It's quicker, it's smoother, it's faster. It really, really is a different beast.
Yeah, there's something about being able to trust. There's something about knowing the track and knowing the way around, so to speak, but being able to trust you're not going to hit a bump in the middle of a turn and stuff like that, right? I mean that changes everything, right?
Yeah, or at least just knowing where they are.
Yeah, yeah. You're not going to hit a pothole that suddenly popped up. Hey, I wanted to ask you this, man. I asked you this after the race last year, and I've always been intrigued for several years now about your popularity in this series, no matter where you go. Like at Mid Ohio, Graham Rahal might get the biggest applause, on introduction, but you'll be right there with him. You know what I mean? And uh, what do you owe that to as you kind of analyze where you are with your fandom, so to speak? I mean, where do you think what is the appeal you think they see in you?
Oh man, I don't know. I think maybe it's a combination of things. I do think
Yeah.
People like an underdog, and it feels like we're we're continuing to be an underdog, and we've taken that title for pretty much every year that we've been in the IndyCar series. We're always chasing, we're always trying to beat the best, the big Penske's and the Ganassi's, and I feel like maybe that's a little bit of what's part of it. I think another part can be, you know, they appreciate the honesty, maybe.
Yeah.
I would say some of the times it's sometimes hard things to hear, or at least that's what I've heard from other people. But I'm definitely somebody that says stuff that has to be said, and I
Yeah.
think better late than never, people end up appreciating it, and I take a lot of worth in that, because I feel like there's a lot of robots out there, and there's a lot of just follow the lines and what has to be said and done. And I don't think it's fair to the fans that go and cheer us on and really support us when maybe they don't know the full picture about what's going on, or stuff like that. So I always try and just be as honest as I can and give my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but
Yeah.
um you can, everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. And whether you side with me or not side with me, I think it's always an open conversation that's good to have to make things better. Like, see, that's the only way people and grow.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's what I always found refreshing about you is you always know where you stand. You know what I mean? If I ask you a question or somebody asks you a question in a press conference or whatever, you always know where you stand. There's nothing wishy-washy about you. And the thing about you, though, it sounds like I'm just like this is I'm just blowing smoke here, but I'm not. I mean, the other thing I really appreciate about you is you can express emotion and even where you stand without going nuts about it. You know what I mean? you've rarely just got out of your car kicking tires or anything like that. Where did that, for want of another term, self-control, have you always had that? Did you have to rein it in? Did it come from your parents? Where does that come from?
Um, man, it's one of the first times I hear that because everybody says that I'm a mouthful and
You're a
I'm always
mouthful,
no
but
filter.
you don't go crazy. You know what I mean? You don't start screaming. You just like
Yeah,
express yourself. There's a
I
big
think
difference.
I think I mean I would agree with you. I think a lot of the times when I do say something, it always comes from the right it comes from a good place,
Yeah,
it might be a little bit of when people say tough love might hurt a little bit, but at the end of the day it does make somebody grow, and it does make somebody maybe come into realization that it's like, oh, maybe there's a reason why he's saying this, why, I'm
yes,
one of the people that says, when something goes wrong, instead of saying why me, why don't you say what is this trying to teach me? And I feel like that's how I go about in a lot of different ways. And I do believe that there's many different ways that things can be said and done. But at some point, it's not the best to be too raw, which I think I could have been in the past. But it also not good to sugarcoat things and just kind of like keep the ball rolling for nothing,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't know. I just think it's been kind of like me trying to find my own way, because they don't treat you they don't show you this in media training. They show you how to be a robot, and they show you how to be a professional racing driver that communicates on behalf of a racing team. That's what they teach you in media camp or
yeah.
whatever. But those people will never teach you how to be yourself, because the only person that knows how to be yourself is yourself.
True
and
that.
um and I think it's always a fine line that we're flirting with, of going over it and under it. But I do think you definitely get to different places a lot quicker while you're flirting with that line, versus just kind of flying low all the time and not really helping or being an ambassador for something that you're passionate about. Because I would say I'm probably one of the most passionate, if not the most, in the paddock about where I see the series going, because I do think it's got so much that it can offer. So to me, it does get frustrating at times whenever you see certain things go down and you're like, why are we doing this? Like, we're going backwards.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, last thing, because we're running out of time, I wanted to ask you this in that regard. You know, your boss Zach Brown. You know, my buddy Bruce Martin did a story with him. I think after Detroit, and talked about some things where they had a frank conversation with Roger Penske where things can go, this, that, and the other. I'm not going to get you involved in that, but I did want to ask you this: if you could change one thing about IndyCar's approach that you think would appeal even more to the masses, if that's the correct term, what would it be right now? Where, because
Um,
it's a tremendous product, obviously. The product is
yeah,
there, right?
it's definitely an amazing product. It's also a product where we're not fighting to have the same fans as Formula One. I think we can have mutual fans, but I do think
Yeah,
it's got different roots, it's got different history. And what I would stick to, honestly, would be, um, what does the series represent to us? What does it represent to the people that support it, have always supported? And then how can you make that a little bit sexier? Because
yeah,
um, there's a lot of people that get involved with, and it doesn't even have to be racing. It can be, we've seen it in Formula One, but we see it in Wimbledon, we see it in the Golf Masters. Like, people don't really have to know about golf or know about tennis in order to get involved, but people get involved because they go to this event and they get to dress their best, and they can go and say that they were part of whatever that was. And I
the
feel like
event.
IndyCar is missing a little bit of that kind of like sexy status that people in society seems to really be searching for, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
And whether it's good or bad, I do think that's where the world has gone, or at least now, and that's what the consumer is kind of asking for, and that's what you have to target.
Do you think Fox is doing a pretty good job though of
Yes,
going
I
that
do think.
direction? I think they are. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Fox is doing a phenomenal job, and I mean they're throwing money at it.
Yeah.
Like, they're use you can you're seeing a broadcast, a network that's using everything at their disposal in order to make this, become even bigger and bigger. And I would say a big part of our growth and a big part of why people have have now known of IndyCar, at least heard of it, is thanks to Fox. I mean, look at the Super Bowl ads, but
Yeah.
they're still going, man. I was at a freaking gas station lately, and I saw Colton Herta on the screen. Like, um, it's crazy that you're still seeing these. I mean, they're really pushing it.
Yeah, you saw Colton Hurd. Did that scare you? No, I'm just joking. Hey, very last thing.
Yeah.
You're going back in Mid Ohio. You're going back to a place where you've won. What does it add to your step? I mean, to know that you've been successful at a place.
We want to go back to back, man. I've never done that in my career. I would love to check that box.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Pato Award. Thanks for joining me, Pato.
Cheers, man. Thank you.